Welcome to the Black Doctor Collective podcast. We as Black doctors are in a unique position. We can change our communities, healthcare, and the world. Of course, we start by changing the way we see and value ourselves. I'm your host, Dr. Shanika Horn, pediatrician and physician coach, travel extraordinaire. I am so happy to have you here and listening. So let's get into it. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Black Doctor Collective podcast. I am not at home. Obviously, I'm new week, new hotel. And I also forgot my microphone. So we're going to do our best here. I tried using my headphones. It was a no-go. Okay, so it is June, which in medicine usually means it's the end of the academic year. Do you guys remember that? I feel like I'm starting to get so far into being and attending that I am losing track of the academic year. But for those of you who still work in academia, this is a very relevant time of year. People are graduating, transitioning, starting new jobs, or maybe sitting in the reality of the job they took a year ago, or it's an anniversary of a job that you took. So this month we're doing a 4-part series. As you've noticed, both April and May had themes. Guess what? June has a theme. Yeah, it's actually kind of fun doing themes. But we're going to do the annual debrief, the year one debrief. So this series for June is for you, whether you just finished residency or fellowship and are heading into your first job, you're a year or two in and starting to wonder, is this it? Or you realize you signed a contract that's not giving what it was supposed to give. So this month is about reflection. It's about renegotiation. It's about taking ownership before the next cycle comes along and you just are off with the tide. So we're starting with this truth. Just because you finished training doesn't mean you left the hustle culture behind. Grinding is a habit. Let's talk about what actually ends when training ends. You maybe lose the call room, depending on your specialty, obviously, because some of y'all just get an upgraded call room and some of the call rooms are not even upgraded. So big maybes. You finally get a real paycheck. And depending on how you negotiate and depending on your specialty, it might be the real. But the hustle, the overfunctioning, the guilt, when you try to rest, all of that is still with you. The system has trained you to overwork, to say yes, to equate productivity with worth, to ignore your body. What's the longest y'all have ever held your pee? I used to joke all the time that I was a camel. And what's the longest you've ever gone without eating? I still remember a 24-hour NICU shift where I came in at 7, put on the scrubbed in, and I was on roller skates the whole day. And I had brought a sandwich thinking I was going to be proactive. I wasn't going to go down to the cafeteria. I mean, our cafeteria wasn't open on weekends, but we had an Au Bon Pain cafe in the lobby. I was not going to go down to Au Bon Pain. I brought my food. It was going to be great. Why did I not get back to the call room to even see that sandwich until 9 p.m.? I got there at 7 a.m. So 14 hours into this shift, I finally get a break to go into the call room. And, with the NICU, the NICU call room had a landline phone. We had the NICU cell phone and I had my personal cell phone, I think. So I'm there. I walk into the room. I take my sandwich out of the container, right? I had a little Tupperware, pop that Tupperware open. Get ready. As soon as I go to take the first bite, the phone rings. Y'all, literally, I almost spontaneously combusted. Like immediately tears came to my eyes. And I'm there holding the sandwich and answering the phone. Like, why won't these people just give me a break? And that was really how training went. It was just like, how long can you last doing the most to ignore all of your basic needs? And somehow I still managed to gain weight in residency. I think it's just cruel. Like you're stressed, you're eating crap, you're eating whatever parents bring or patients bring, whatever treats are in the call room, whatever the nurses bring. So you can't ever lose weight, but you're not eating regularly. So you're always hungry. Like, what a vortex. And just because your badge says attending now, that doesn't mean that those parts of your mind, like that part of your mindset has changed. I have had clients tell me, oh, I got asked to stay late or pick up an extra shift and I didn't have to, but like I didn't want to disappoint them and I didn't really have any other plans. And like for the people who don't have kids, because everyone with kids uses their kid as the reason why they can't do the thing, even though the actual reason is they don't want to. But for those of us who don't have children, it's like, oh, and I don't have kids. So like, what was I going to do compared to like everyone else who does have kids? Somehow you start to value your own time as worth less than someone who has an obligation, right? I've heard doctors say, yeah, I end up charting at home because my MAs don't properly triage my patient messages. So I end up doing all of this stuff during the day, like doing other workload, doing some of the nurses stuff, so that at the end of the day, my charting is not done. I have to take it home. But, I don't want to ask them. They don't really work for me. I don't really want to be difficult. I don't want to get into anyway with anybody. So I just do it on myself. I've had doctors say, I covered extra patients on this shift because I can handle it. Technically, of course I can handle it, right? It's not ideal, but I can do it. I know how. And if this sounds like you, obviously you're not alone, because I'm telling you what they have said. I know what has gone through my own head when I'm picking up extra shifts or covering emergencies, because I'm like, oh, nobody else is probably going to be able to do it. And technically I live close. I could just pop over. It's not going to be that long. Patients, I worry about the patients, who's going to take care of them. So the thing is, I just want you to know that this is not a default, like a defect. You're not broken. You were trained. We were literally trained. What you were trained to do, which was survive, is not going to help you thrive here in attending land. The other thing that I find drives us to overwork is imposter syndrome. So you feel like everybody knows that, oh, you're young in terms of practicing your early career. And so everyone feels like you don't know. And you have to constantly be proving your value. You never want to look stupid. You never want to look like you're lazy. You never want to look like you don't know how to handle things. And while they may question your expertise, ain't nobody gonna question your work ethic because you are in there, right? Like no one is gonna say you're difficult to work with or you're not a team player. You're always proving your value in some form. So wherever you feel weak, which might be like medical knowledge or experience, you're going to compensate for with work ethic. So here is the dangerous part. I'm sure y'all already know. Whatever you start becomes your normal. You just continue to build on that. And then you also have this pressure to maintain those habits. So if you're responding to every message, you're saying yes to every time someone asks you to do something, you're staying 2 hours late every day at work to finish notes, or you're taking the notes home, you're picking up every extra shift, every weekend shift, you're telling your brain that this is what the job requires. This is what I have to do to prove my value. And your brain will believe you. Okay. When your brain has a belief, especially one that's deeply seated, that took years to form and cement, all it does now is look for evidence that that belief is true. Your first years of work, your first parts of your career is really about setting the tone for your career. It's not just about surviving. So the tone, if you're not careful, will continue to be self-abandonment. And instead, you need to change it to make it self-advocacy. The beauty here is you get to choose. And even if you've started perpetuating this notion about you, about how you work, you can change it. You still get the choice. So how do you unlearn this? I would say, it's not like you need a whole new personality, right? Like sometimes people feel like, oh, I need to be bold when they're shy, or like I need to be confident when they don't feel like confident. And they're like, I'm just going to fake it till I make it, right? We think that we are lacking some fundamental personality trait. And that's really not it. It's really that you have to decide what else to believe. Like, what is your new belief? So maybe that new belief is that being overproductive is actually not helpful to you or your patient. That was one of the core things for me. I realized, and I talk about this a lot, like I realize how much better of a clinician I am when I'm not overworked and when I'm not tired, because I think better when I'm well rested. When I have more time to reflect on the patients, that's when my practice is better. Perfect example is when you're going, the only time sometimes you have to stop and let your brain kind of process and cement things is when you're in the shower or when you're about to fall asleep, like you're going to bed, lights off, close your eyes. That's when your brain starts filtering through the day. That's when all of these things that you forgot to do pop up. That's when you get your best ideas. That's why it's hard to sleep at night sometimes, because you haven't had a moment to think. And so all of the things that your brain left kind of spinning, all of the tabs you left open are now like, oh, now she's ready to read all the tabs, right? So I find that when I have downtime during the day, that's when I remember stuff about patients. Sometimes like you go from one person to the next and then you didn't put in the script and then you have no downtime. And at the end of the day, the patient's like, I never got my script for such and such. Or sometimes you're thinking about it afterwards and you're like, oh my God, why didn't I tell this person to do this particular set of advice, this precautionary tip, something? And so I find when I am rested, when I make space in my day, when I'm not overworking, when I'm not doing the tasks of the MA and the nurse and the other clinician and whoever else, I get those moments where I can remember to do things or reflect or think about my decision making. And because that is valuable to me, it makes it much easier to defend myself against the impetus to overwork. The other thing is people literally comment on my personality in those moments or like my mood. My mood is so much better. Someone called me a breath of fresh air, I remember. And I was like, who, me? In medicine? Medicine that I thought was going to burn me out? I'm a breath of fresh air? That's crazy. So it turned out that it really was because I had started practicing and defending myself and defending my boundaries, and I wasn't so miserable coming to work. It wasn't outwardly expressed and people noticed it. I was literally having a conversation this week with my client, Dr. R. Hey girl, hey. And we were talking because, she's a locums right now. And the in-house staff is now like, oh, well, she's locums. They know locums gets paid more than they do. That's an administrative problem. That is not a time that we turn against each other. But that's what happens in medicine. They're like, well, she gets paid more than I do. She should do it. So they start patient dumping. They start procedure dumping onto this doctor. They're like, oh, can you just do this? And can you just do that? And her first response is like, this is not right. But of course I could handle it. She's like, I trained in the belly of the beast because, she trained in New York. It was do or die. She's like, I ain't no punk. Like, of course I can handle it. These people think that they gonna try me. I can prove to them that I can handle it. And it's true, right? She can't handle it. But is it right? Is it safe? Is it what she wants? No, because so many of us are also battling imposter syndrome that when things take shape this way, we feel like it's a personal assessment of our capability. Like, do you have the capacity to do this thing? And of course, we're going to rise to every challenge because that's how we've gotten through medicine. It's an automatic trigger that somebody doubts us. Oh, bet I'm about to prove you wrong. That started before medicine, when people told you couldn't even get into medical school to begin with. And you proved all those people wrong. And you've been spending year after year after year proving people wrong about you. Because what they're not going to do is tell you what you can't do. Except that is contributing to the overwork. Every step of the way, every year you have been in medicine, you have been proving yourself with every exam, with every class, all your grades, with every evaluation on a rotation, with all the letters of recommendation you had to chase. and on and on and on. Every interaction with a nurse, every time you stepped into an OR, every time you stepped into a patient room, it was about proving yourself. The key for her and for you and for all of us, really for me too, is that we need to start asking different questions. What does ease actually look like for me? How do I want it to look like? What are the assumptions that I keep carrying forward from training? What are the habits that I'm carrying forward from training? Do you recognize some of the habits that I've been talking about? Feeling the need to prove yourself all the time. Where am I just performing instead of actually practicing, right? Where am I doing things just out of routine instead of making conscious choices? Just because I can, does it mean that I should? And probably the answer to that one is no. No. So this month, I'm going through all of these kinds of things, these kinds of conversations, so that you can really evaluate what is happening in your current day-to-day practice. If this episode hit a little too close to home, good. Like the Caribbean say, good for you. That means you're now awake to something. When you're awake, when you're conscious of something, that's how you fix it. Because you can't fix something you have no clue about, that you don't even recognize is happening. We're going to go ask ourselves a lot of questions in June. Because June is the end of a training cycle. It's the end of a year, and it could be the start for July of a new chapter for you. And you know, with the new year comes new reflections. We love a new year reflection. Just habitually, we love to set a New Year's resolution. Let it be that July starts on a different leaf. So we're going to take you through June. I'm going to take you through June. I would say we, like there's more than one person. Ain't nobody here but me. I'm going to take you through June so that you have this thought process and you have the month to really consider what it is that you actually want out of your career. Also, June is the start of the Any Day Negotiator Group program, in which I'm inviting early career Black physicians who are ready to change how they work. And we're going to do that through good contracts. We're going to do that through work habits and boundaries. We're going to use my favorite tool, which I will teach you, of negotiation. The number one tool you need to get through life is knowing how and when to ask somebody for something you want. And the when is always, right? We always want to be asking. But how do you ask for what you want? How do you move forward? That is what we do inside the Any Day Negotiator Group program. If you are interested in that group program, the link to schedule the call with me to even just talk about it is in the show notes. It's always in the show notes because, I'll be trying to hook y'all up. I just did a masterclass on negotiation and how that's a super helpful tool. If you signed up but you missed it and you still want to talk to me about it, sign up for this sales call. Let me tell you about the program and how we can make it work for you. Thanks for being here, y'all. I will see you next week. I'm about to start my little trip here in San Diego, California, which I thought was going to be sunny, and it is not that sunny. But anyway, I'm here and my med school friends are coming in. They just landed. I keep looking at my watch because they were texting. They landed, they're here. We're going to have a good time. And I want you to have a good time, even in your daily life. You want this kind of vacation time? You can get it. Schedule the call. See you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast. And what I want you to do next is link us everywhere you can. Instagram at The Black Doctor. Just become part of our collective. I want you here. Thanks. Until next time. Bye.